Alrighty. I don't know why it's on fade. Let me get rid of some of these captions and things like that I got going on in here for the intro. Go away. Thank you. Welcome to today's show. My name is, it just does not like this button. My name is Anthony Barocas, and I am the Chief Gearhead here at StreamTEK. And thank you all for being here. We've got a good show planned for today. I'm actually going to set this live on Instagram as well, so that I am live on LinkedIn and Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And so if you are on any of those platforms, you can comment and be part of the show, which is the whole point of being here for a live show, which is the whole point of watching something that's not AI generated. There's so much of that out there today. I scroll through and half of the reels I see are, this is the thing that you saw. This is the video. Look at this man. He's so good. I'm just like, oh, just stop already with the fake voices and the just AI generated script that some parts of it are wrong. This is a live show. I'm here, you're here, we're both here, and this is interactive. So you viewing the show get to put in the comments questions. Like one of the questions I was asking is, do you NDI? Do you use NDI? Do you know, I have several videos on the StreamTEK channel about NDI. I did an article for Streaming Media several years ago called All In on NDI. And this is 4 years ago. And NDI is just getting better. So today I'm going to be covering specifically, I want to talk about cameras. There's a lot of things that NDI can do. And there's a lot of things people are leveraging NDI to do. This is not a deep dive. This is just sort of like talking about leveraging cameras and things to be aware of and stuff like that. And if you follow the show, I've been talking about using a new router that I got because my Eero doesn't like NDI. I've used Google Wi-Fi pucks for lots of streaming with iPhones. You know, we'll be using an iPhone today as a camera, and low bandwidth things through the Google puck, but it doesn't really like multiple NDI sources. So you really do need to step up your game for NDI, and I will be talking about that in a minute. But as always, this is an international show, and I love to know where people are watching from. So if you are watching and you haven't already chimed in with where you're watching from, let me know in the comments. That's how we have that dialogue. You comment, I read it. I'm only 20 seconds, you know, you're 20 seconds behind me, but this is a dialogue. And I did not turn advertising on, so you should not get any ads. If you do, tell me in the comments, because YouTube shouldn't be doing that. I can't control Facebook or anything else. So starting at the top, James Williamson is joining us from Mississippi, and Abdul Kabir Fassi says, you certainly know how to rock it. Well, I appreciate that. Technomania music do I hear? Actually, because I stream, that music is provided by Facebook. And Facebook seems to be the more onerous in terms of taking things down because of copyright violations. But as a Facebook creator, they give you pre-cleared music. So I'm just using pre-cleared music that's available on Facebook. So, and that's something I recommend to everyone. Don't try to use commercial copyrighted music. Hey, if there's something, and that's actually a commercial track, but apparently Facebook licensed it and it doesn't trigger any sort of warning or takedown on Facebook anymore because it was offered by Facebook. So DK is in Orlando, Florida. And Kirk Riley says he uses his Osbot Tail Air for NDI. Yes, these are cool little PTZ cameras that fit in the palm of your hand. If you don't know about Osbot Tail Airs, look on the StreamTEK channel. I've got a video just about these, setting them up, going through the menu and everything. James Williamson's is in Columbus, Mississippi on the United States on Earth. OC StreamTEK Duo NDI with OBSBot Live. There you go. I did not bring out my duet. I did not bring my duet here just because I've already got a table full of stuff, and the duet only allows one NDI input. So the duet is included in those things that do switch, as well as bigger things like a TriCaster. I don't have a TriCaster out here either, but I do have a show about the TriCaster. And we're not going to be talking about Blackmagic because Blackmagic absolutely refuses to do NDI. They instead waited 10 years of not doing NDI and then jumped on the 2110 protocol that SMPTE released. I think it's SMPTE 2110, and they had to introduce their own router because 2110 you can get like one 4K feed in 1 gigabit and that's it. So instead, in terms of doing a multi-camera live switch, SMPTE 2110 the requirements are not here, they're here, and that's why I like NDI. The requirements are much lower. I'm going to shut the studio door. All right. Oh, I'm moving the wrong mouse. And then we have the McGee Academy of Arts and Sciences saying good morning from Pico Riviera, California. And just a little bit further away, NX 3D Manufacturing says hello from Cyprus. And you may have seen me mention them previously. And if I go to my overhead, side by side overhead, I'm actually using one of their stands right now for the OBSBot. They make this cool PK1 Pro, so it gives me the ports over here. Full disclosure, they provided this for me to use, and I'm mentioning it in the show. They haven't paid me to talk about it, but I'm using it. So, and it does a really good job giving me the angle I want and giving the fan on the back room to ventilate. So that is good. And they are in Cyprus. So hello from Cyprus. If I connect a YOLOBOX to a Wi-Fi router using an Ethernet and connect 3 tail airs to the Wi-Fi tirelessly, can I control PTZ control the tail air cameras with the YOLOBOX? I think so. The YOLOBOX has an interesting way of getting you to control the PTZ. We'll get there. Oops, not that one. So let's go back to me. I wish I could. I can star that question. We'll star that question. One is pinned. Did you vote today yet? Yeah. No, I did not vote today. I voted 2 weeks ago. I voted the first day I was able to vote. Eric Jan van dem Bogaard says hello from Haarlem, Netherlands. And True Vision is kicking back and watching from the Bahamas. See if we got any more hellos. And Rome Knows Tech is here. Good. Good to see. Oh, you're over here. Good to see Rome Knows Tech. Check his channels out on YouTube. And he covers like way more gear than I do. So he knows tech. Rome Knows Tech. Mark Marlott says Wyoming here. Yes, we have internet and horse and buggies. It's just like Pennsylvania in Amish country. So let me repin this, find which one I've got up, and do me over. So today we're talking about NDI cameras. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do networked cameras. There's HD over Ethernet. There's things like that. But NDI is a protocol that was introduced by NewTek in 2015, so it's 9 years old. 2015, they came out with NDI, and they have been slowly evolving it. It is up to NDI 6 right now, and you can go to ndi.tv, ndi.tv, and all kinds of resources there. If you start searching for NDI apps, you'll find all sorts kinds of resources there. I have several videos on the StreamTEK channel about NDI that you can get started with. But today, we're just going to be talking and introducing you to the concept of an NDI camera. And what that means is a camera, wireless or wired, that is connected to your switching device over your local area network. Standard Ethernet TCP/IP networking. Meaning, in some cases, you can add cameras over the network without having to change anything about your infrastructure. There are some caveats. We'll get to that. So thank you for joining me. Let's go back to that pinned question. If I connect a YOLOBOX to a Wi-Fi router using Ethernet, which I have right here, and connect 3 tail airs to the Wi-Fi wirelessly, can I PTZ control the tail air cameras with the YOLOBOX? Well, this is the magic of a live show with a real human. We're going to turn this on. It's going to buzz a bit. It's going to do a little blinky blinky thing. And eventually it's going to boot up. There it goes. And so now this is up. And I have set up I'm going to move this out of the way. I have set up a router. Now, it depends upon your router. As I said already, you're going to have to, well, first you have to test. But certain routers are made for consumer use. Certain routers are made for industrial use. But even the ones that are pro and kind of industrial are not made for streaming multiple cameras where every single bit is just constantly going. A lot of them are like, you know, juggling many things at once. So what I did is I went, let me do side by side, and here, I went and I got that beast of a router. It's the ROG AX6000. Again, I purchased it with my own money. They are not paying for placement. I'm giving it a shot because I actually upgraded the studio to gigabit, and this router has 2.5 gigabit in and 4 gigabit ports, and it's supposed to have an insane amount of bandwidth, which means the processing power to shove bits around in real time, I'm hoping, is really good. Netgear has a series of NDI certified routers and switches. I'm sorry, not routers, switches that are designed to understand and properly handle NDI and make sure that all the bits just flow smoothly. Meaning, because if you have multiple cameras, each camera is having a little amount of data, and all these camera data streams don't stop. It's like flood water, and then another flood water, and then another flood water. All these flood waters have to pass in one port, out the other port, in the antennas, out through the port. And if you don't have if the thing is not designed to handle on the back plane a ton of data nonstop without any interrupts and checking and all this stuff, without stopping, even for an instant, if it's not designed to do that, you're going to see glitches in your NDI. So the router really makes a difference. I'm not endorsing this router. I'm actually testing it with today's show. So we'll see. Mainly, let's just say you're better with a wire if possible, and OBSBot makes wired adapters, and you can only use OBSBot wired adapters on the OBSBot cameras. They will not talk to if you use a third-party router. And I have a video, I keep saying that, I have a video on this Google router. Oh, that's not router, let's go overhead. I have a video on this little Google adapter that takes Ethernet in, your standard unpowered Ethernet in, and provides it over USB-C. I had hoped it would work into the USB-C of the OBSBot, but it does not. However, it does work in the USB of the Mevo Start cameras, meaning I can put these on wired Ethernet and power them at the same time with one wire going into the back of the camera. So this is I think it was $20. Again, there's a video on the StreamTEK website specifically about this Google adapter. But unfortunately, OBSBot makes this, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, they do make a wired adapter. Unfortunately, it's about 4 times the cost of the Google adapter. But they both take Ethernet and convert it to USB-C. This one, however, will take power over Ethernet as well. So you're still only running one powered Ethernet cable. I should probably explain that a bit. Powered Ethernet cable, and then this will provide both the power and the data to the USB-C port that goes into the OBSBot camera. So let me explain just for those who don't already know. Ethernet is networking. You have an Ethernet cable. I have an Ethernet cable right here, and it's stuck underneath the stand. I have an Ethernet cable right here, and typically this carries data. That's it. In a standard TCP/IP networking protocol, this will carry data. You plug it into a device and that's it. They have adapted that so that this can also carry power at the same time. So if you had a pan tilt zoom camera like this PTZ Optics, which one is this? I forget which one this is. Move. This is the Move 4K. I'm going to take off the lens cap, and I'm only going to plug this in. I plug this into the Ethernet port, and then within a couple seconds, it communicates that, hey, you got power? I'll take some of that power. And the Ethernet router provides the power to run the camera over the one cable. So this is now on. This is ready to be used. And I didn't plug in a separate power cable. So power over Ethernet, and there's different levels of power over Ethernet depending upon how hungry a source is and how far it is, because these thin little wires, as you go a distance, the voltage drops. And then depending upon how much the drop is, if you want 12 volts here, you have to be sending 24 or something, depending upon the distance, or more. So if it's really, really far away, you need to send a higher voltage so that by the time it gets there, it's delivering what the device needs. So that's a little, very brief description of power over Ethernet. Now, this power over Ethernet cable, however, is not in that router that I have. This router, because this is not a power over Ethernet router. But I am using this for all of the networking we're going to be doing today. So the OBSBot Talent here is plugged into Ethernet, and I also have an Ultra. This is the Ultra. The Ultra is plugged into Ethernet. They're both plugged into this router. This, however, is not plugged into the router. This is not plugged into this router. And we're going to add those wirelessly. And the router is taking that wireless signal, bringing it in, and putting it out on the network. Actually, let's scroll down. Let's come down here to, you can see it's already doing 300 kilobits per second, nice and smoothly. And I think if we go to, there's a usage I was using. No, not that one. I built all this yesterday, and nope, that's not it. And I found a screen. That's not it. Traffic analyzer, maybe that's it. No, this is not it. Wired. So there's my wired network. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. So my wired network is coming in at 300 megabits, my wireless network, and it actually breaks them up. I have it broken up into two different networks. So there's my 2 gigahertz, and there's my 5 gigahertz. Now, I am going to add, let's go over to the Ultra, and that's my HDMI camera. Hello, camera. We're going to add NDI, and NDI on this Ultra is activated. NDI comes with a cost. It has to be licensed from I would say the NDI organization, however, it's not been broken into a separate organization. NDI is still fully owned by NewTek, which is now owned by Vizert. So they charge licensing, and every company that wants to use NDI has to pay them to be able to use it. So if you want to use NDI on your YOLOBOX, you have to pay $99 because they have to pay $99 to NDI. If you want to use it on the Director Mini, however, the Director Mini and the OBSBot Talent included. So they've rolled the price of the NDI into here. The same with the OC Duet. It has that one NDI receiving license and it's already activated. You don't have to pay extra for it. If you have a Mevo Start, NDI is included. If you purchase an OBSBot Go, you have to add it because not everybody wants to do NDI. They may purchase these to work with the multi-camera app, which doesn't use NDI, and they want to record and stream directly from the camera. So there's a whole bunch of people who don't need NDI and they don't want to have to pay extra for it. So it's not included. But each NDI license costs money. And when somebody's charging you for NDI, it's because they have to pay the piper. BirdDog does not charge for NDI because it's rolled into the price of the camera. However, if you were purchasing a Sony camera, PTZ camera, or a Panasonic PTZ camera, or a Canon PTZ camera, or a Marshall PTZ camera, you're going to be paying hundreds of dollars, upwards of $399 to $499 for the license to turn on NDI in that camera. So when somebody freaks out about, it's like, I have to pay $99 to turn on NDI in my YOLOBOX. Yeah, you do. And be glad it's $99 and not $399 like it is in one camera. But just to let you know that NDI has a cost in certain cases and it needs to be activated separately. It's not default on any device. And if you have a Blackmagic switcher, you're never going to see it. So coming back to the Ultra, it says it sees my BirdDog and my other BirdDog. It doesn't see this one. So what that means is it's probably went to a different network. Let me use my phone. Sorry for the little delay here. I kind of figured it would find the Wi-Fi right there by itself. And I'm going to have to go into the OBSBot app. And ITKLMN. OBSBot, big red dot. Let's go to my overhead so you can join in with me. It's searching, it's searching. There it is. It says it's on the right one. Oh no, it's not. That's the studio. That's the studio one. Connection method. No, Wi-Fi. I need to change the Wi-Fi configuration because it connected to the wrong Wi-Fi in the studio. So we want it to connect to the ROG. You can't really see, but there's a ROG there. So we are going to connect to the StreamTEK ROG 5. Connecting to the device, searching for devices, connect. So now the app is going to reconnect over the other Wi-Fi. There we go. And you can see my setup here. And if I wanted to, I could come in here and I could move the camera. Come on, there you go. I can move the camera wirelessly like that. Now, I'm going to go back to the Ultra. It still only sees these. Come back out. Go back in. Now it's going to search again. So oftentimes NDI does not automatically refresh over and over and over again. So you will need to back out and then come back in. And you saw how the YOLOBOX went through the network, all through the different numbers and asked, are you NDI? And there it is, now it appeared. The same thing happens like when I use vMix and I want to add a camera and somebody turns on a camera. You got to exit vMix and got to go back in. And there's probably a way to tell vMix to just re-poll, but I always find it easier just to exit and come back in. So there is the tail air. We're going to click on that. done. And there is my camera right there. Hello, camera. And if I bring this camera up, you'll see that this camera is indeed live. If I tilt it sideways. Okay, that camera is live. Now, in the YOLOBOX, if you want to PTZ it, you see the PTZ control. You come in here, and it asks for the IP address. I don't know why it does this. Because it already found it on the network by itself. It's like going up to someone's house saying, will you let me in? Thanks. Walking in the door and saying, what's the address? So you need to find the address of the camera on the network and type it in here so that you can do the PTZ control. They need to fix this. They really do need to fix this. So that's what you need to do. I'm going to cancel that for a moment just to show something else. One of the very cool things about NDI, if you are again new to NDI, one of the very cool things about NDI is it's not exclusive. It's not a cable. I mean, it is a cable, could be a cable. It's not like an HDMI cable connected from here to here. It's not like an SDI cable from here to here. You're putting it on the network. So it's like a web page. Everybody can access the web page, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the talent, and I'm going to add an NDI stream, do an NDI search. There it is. There's the tail air. There's my camera. Save. Call up the camera. There it is. Here's my camera. It's live, and I'm tilting it. But here's the really interesting thing. You can't see it, but it's actually happening on both devices. So if I go to the Ultra while I'm twisting this, there's the Ultra. It's live. Here's the talent. It's live. It's live to both, and it's connected to nothing. That's the magic of NDI. You're putting it on the network so that multiple devices can reach out and touch that. Now, BirdDog has a NDI controller, and they leverage that capability such that you can connect to your cameras via NDI and control them while the video is going to the other device. But it's all happening over NDI, but you're splitting the protocol. Since multiple devices can reach out and touch that camera, one is telling it what to do, the other one is receiving the video. That's pretty cool. And then, as you can see in the talent, if I come up here and I say, give me control, I just tap it. It's there. And then I can move it. No. There we go. It is touchy. I'm not gonna, you see how it always kind of darts to the right a little bit before taking my movement? But this is an example of like, okay, I can say store, that's position 1. And then I can swing it around and tilt it up. I want to go up, go over there, do some focus maybe. That'd be good. There you go. Store as 2, and then go back to 1, zoop, and go back to 2, zoop. And that right there is one of the key features of NDI that makes it so cool, that you can take these cameras, plop them anywhere, and be able to say, go to 1, go to 2, and it's repeatable. Go to 1, go to 2. I mean, that is so cool, to me at least. And unfortunately, this doesn't have an optical zoom. When you zoom in, you're just cropping the 4K sensor, which is what it is. It's not like a true 20x optical zoom really reaching out there and still delivering a full 4K from that tight shot. When you zoom in from this, it has to interpolate based on what the sensor is giving it. But you're not going to find another device like this in the market yet at this point. Battery powered, self-streaming, PTZ with NDI, internal record, just the list of features is just pretty amazing, I think. And right there, you can see that capability. And you see how, I want you to pay a particular note. Let me use my finger in here. You can see how the close button is on the right here, and the recycle button is over here on the left. This interface is actually different depending upon the cameras that you're using, because OBSBot makes both the talent and the camera. So down here at the bottom, let me see if I can clear this up a little bit. Down here at the bottom, it says human tracking. So you're controlling certain features in the camera. You're not just PTZing it, you're telling the camera, hey, turn on the tracking too. So if I take this camera and put it up here on a stand that I've got set up for today's show, and I say, turn on human tracking, boop. And now if I walk over here, hey, thanks for coming to today's show. I'm gonna walk over here and come with me. And we're gonna be talking about this camera in a little bit over here. And that is one of the cool things with the AI tracking that's in this camera that's made possible by using this button right here. And then if I have it in a certain spot that I think is good, I can then turn it off. So that is something unique to OBSBot having both the switcher and the camera. It's kind of like an Apple thing with the earbuds and the phone. They connect magically and you can do extra things. The Director Mini is not an OBSBot device, so it can control PTZ, but you're going to see a different PTZ interface on the Director Mini than this. And let me close this and add. Oh, you know what? I've got the other one up there already. So let me NDI stream open, and I've got the bird dog over there. I'm going to think that's HDMI, so that's HX2. There we go. I don't know why it's blue. Why are you blue? All right, it's blue. Maybe if I hold up a piece of paper. Does that help? There you go. It's seeing something that wants to keep push it in the wrong direction. I don't know what it's seeing that's making it go blue, but clearly. So now I just want to bring this up so that I've got the Bird Dog X1 over Wi-Fi connected, and I'm going to go into my PTZ control. Now you see this interface over here is very different. I've got 9 presets, whereas the little OBSBot can only do 3. I mean, supposedly it might do more, but in that interface, it's only giving you 3. This one has 9, and the interface is a little different. And as I figured out just the other day, I can move it around. So if I needed to be over here to be out of my way, that's good. If I needed to be over here to be out of my way, I could put it back over there, which is really cool. But it's 2 different PTZ interfaces in the same device, depending upon whether you're controlling an OBSBot device on the OBSBot talent or whether you're controlling something else. And that is something that I found out yesterday when I was doing that. Now, if we go over to my PC, look at that. Now, all of a sudden, my usage has gone up a lot, my wireless usage, because I accepted the video feed from the big Bird Dog camera. Now, if I come over here to my talent and I take this and I throw this away, oh, I'm using that. Go over here, take this, delete it, delete, and I throw it away. What you're going to see over here on the piece on the Ethernet is you're going to see the usage drop, and that is one thing that I talk about in the NDI videos. Is you have to start thinking about your bit budget, because these cameras are all using HX, but not every device uses HX. I have an older device over here. Right here, I have this JVC camcorder. Let's just go to here. I have this JVC camcorder, but I have a Bird Dog Flex converter. And It's on top of my little camcorder, and it's got the tally going, and it's taking the HDMI out, and the HDMI goes in, and I've got power, and it's wired. It will do power over Ethernet, but I'm not using power over Ethernet right now, but so I have to provide an actual power cable. What this is going to do is it's going to take the HDMI up to 4K, convert it to NDI, and send it over the internet. This is going to get interesting. So let's go to my talent. Let us add the HDMI. Oh, I should turn the camera on. I should get a battery. Oh, I hope that's charged. I feel like it was in all the way. That's the one thing I didn't set up before the show. Oh, right. So that is booting up. You can see now, let's go here. This has gone green because it now has an HDMI source. And when I go to my talent and I say, cancel, come over here, NDI stream, NDI search, the HDMI. At the bottom, it says unsupported NDI format. Save. So that is not going to give me a picture. But one of the very interesting things you're going to find out is if we go to the PC, that graph has changed. Why? Because over the wired network now, there is a big stream of data coming from that full NDI source. Even if the talent can't see it, it's still being received. That's how it lets you know that that format was not supported, because it's coming in. It's big. It's 4 times larger than everything else we had on the network. And you can see now all of a sudden I'm doing 21 megabytes a second. 21 times 8, 2 to the 8 is 16, so that's nearly 200 megabits being passed around from one device. Now, let's make it really interesting. You can see on the talent, the Bird Dog HDMI has no signal. It does, but the talent doesn't understand full NDI. And that's kind of an issue with NDI. I'm just going to be upfront. It is kind of an issue with NDI. There's 4 flavors of NDI, and even within those, there's some variables. There's full NDI, which is 100 megabits or more for just HD. And if you're doing 4K, it's going to be 350 or so megabits for one stream. Now remember, if you have a gigabit router, 3 4K cameras is going to be saturating that switch, and you're not going to get anything through there. It's even going to be dropping those frames. If you're doing HD at 100 megabits, which is what this one is doing, if you're doing HD at 100 megabits, then you are going to be hard pressed to get at maybe as many sources as you want on there. And remember, if I come over here to my Ultra and I say add a video source, NDI, let's look on the network. And there's my Bird Dog HDMI. I'm going to select that on my Ultra, done. And there's the signal. I don't know where it's looking at. Let's point it over here. Actually, let's point it over there. There we go. Let's point at my stuff. So there's the signal. The Bird Dog has no, the Ultra has no problem decoding full NDI. So now that full NDI is going from that one encoder to 2 places. And if you look at the network, you see that reflected there too. 1 encoder, 2 places, twice the bandwidth. And that is something you're going to have to, like, when things start adding up, now all of a sudden I'm at 37.89, basically 40 megabytes per second times 8. 4 times 8 is 32. So I'm at 320 megabits a second on a gigabit router. But if I call up, if I swing this around to me and show you the Ultra, you'll see there is no drop frames with this. There's nothing, because the router's capable of taking that thing, sending it to two well, this is actually sending 2 streams, but it's able to take that data coming in from that one device, send it out to 2 receiving devices, and there's not an issue with that. In fact, it's doing that one, and it's doing the OBSBot over here, OBSBot, JVC. It's doing both of those without an issue. And if I come over here and I say add NDI, and I go get the other bird dog camera, HX2, done, done. Give it a second, done, 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 done. It's gonna figure out the stream. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Oh, did I lose one? The Flex 4K in because the battery died. I thought it didn't seem fully seated in the charger. Let me get another battery. Apologies for that. Oh, righty. Now this is a honking battery, so this one should not die for like 6 hours. And because it was already connected, it should automatically just repopulate over there. There it goes. Just no problem. And it's still encoding. It doesn't care. You will see that loss of data is properly reflected. When that camera died, the bird dog encoder was not encoding either stream. Whoomp! Data rate went way down. Now that I've got it back up, whoomp, the data rate goes right back up. And remember, the talent is part of that problem. If I come over here to the talent and I say, you know what, delete this, what do you think you're going to see over there? You're going to see the data rate drop in half. Admittedly, this goes a little slower than I would like for demonstration purposes, but it's getting to the point. And that's something you're going to need to consider when you're adding cameras. What type of NDI is it? You have full NDI at 100 megabits. You've got NDI HX1, which was the first codec that StreamTEK released to get it able to be wireless. The data rate is a little flexible in there. It's kind of adjustable between, like, you know, good and better and stuff like that, but it's not really supported. So if you find something that's HX1, I would just sort of not use it, because it's trying to be like orphaned and moved away. Hang on, that was Instagram. Then there's HX2, which is what the Mevo Start uses. And then there's HX3, the latest version of it. HX2 is an H.264, like on the Mevo Start. I can do 15 megabits or 5 megabits at 1080p. And that's not a lot. That gives you a decent image at not that bad of a data rate. HX3 enables you to really dig in there and set some parameters and say, hey, you know what? If I want to go higher than 15, you can do that. If I want to set 7 megabits, you can do that. If you want to change, you know, you can change the frame rate and all those other parameters. You can really get in with HX3, and HX3 lets you use H.265, which is more efficient. Now, H.265 is going to put more of a workload on the decoding device. So if you're trying to connect a bunch of H.265 sources to a computer or a device like this, you're going to be asking more of the processor than if you're trying to decode H.264. So keep that in mind too. But it gives you a better picture at the same bit rate, or it gives you the same picture at a lower bit rate than H.264. So HX3 is a nice advance. And the bird dog cameras, let's see if I can bring that back up over here. The bird dog cameras are using, it says HX, I didn't turn on HX3, but when I did test this in, I don't know why it keeps thinking, look, if I do this, look at that. Save. This is just the craziest thing. Let me go to the talent. So here's the talent. If I hold a piece of white paper here, I don't know what it's seeing that it's throwing the color off. And I move this away, it goes right to blue. And if I bring this back, so if I bring white in the shot, it says, oh, that's white. I should balance on that. So I don't know what it's seeing that it's thinking it's white. And making that shot really blue. But that camera is coming in wireless. I believe I put it on, did I put it on 2 or did I put it on 5? I just added it, so it's on 2. And you can see it's way down here. Down here, I just added the bird dog camera, the X1, and you can see that here it is. It just came up on 2 gigahertz. And if I go to my 5 gigahertz band and look what's happening there, those have just been chugging away, and actually something became easier and the data rate went down by half. And of course the wired is still chugging away with the single connection to the full NDI source over here. So that's going to be kind of a brief overview about connecting cameras and the PTZ, but I definitely want to get to some of your questions. We answered Tiquan's, can you control the tail air cameras with the YOLOBOX? You can, but you have to discern the IP address, put the IP address into the YOLOBOX, and then once you've bound the IP address to that source, then you can control the PTZ. I really hope they just come up with an update. I'm not going through that process because I really hope in the matter of weeks they come up with an update that makes it so that you don't have to do that. It should not. Since it already found it on the network, it should know what the network IP address is and fill that in itself. My opinion. Let me come back here to the other comments. Scroll back up. Wow, a lot of comments. I'm going to do my best to get through them. That was starred. Which routers are best for NDI and for streaming? Routers, not so much. Switches. Netgear makes an NDI switch, specifically the 4050 or something like that. What built-in technology names do I need to make sure that are included in a router for live streaming and NDI? I would just go for a gaming setup, which is what I did with the router that I have. With this one is I went with this ROG router, which is designed to handle a ton of data. And I don't have multiple full NDI sources to put on here. And that's almost that's going to kind of not be as much of an issue going forward because HX3 is very good. HX3 is enabling lower data rates. HX3 is enabling good quality video at the lower data rate, and the speed is on par with full NDI. Full NDI is still there. It's still technically the fastest. Full NDI is going to be faster than HX2. HX2 is pretty efficient, but it's kind of lossy. It was like a stopgap in between 1 and 3. 1, they're phasing out, so don't buy anything with 1. There's hardly anything new made today that does 1. But like I showed with the talent doesn't even understand full NDI, whereas the YOLOBOX does. So you're going to find, certain issues. And I feel that the talent, actually, let me just try something. I've got this camera here. I said talent. I'm going to see if I can add it to my, I'm on the wrong network over there for that one. I think I'm on the wrong network. Yeah, it's not finding it. I wanted to try to see if I can add it to the Magewell Director Mini, which has had an update. Since I'm not actually streaming from it, let me see if I can switch my Wi-Fi settings. Network, wireless LAN, and a gaming router is designed for the bandwidth. It's designed for low latency because gamers need that speed. Get it to me fast, don't process it and things like that. So that way a gaming router will hopefully get the data to you faster so that you're not having dropped frames because it's busy doing things. So I just switched my network over here. I'm going to say, give me an NDI, NDI search, BirdDog HDMI, save. And this is the view from my Director Mini is wireless, and I put it on 2 gig. So it looks like it is dropping a couple frames, whereas the Talent, the YOLOBOX is wired. So it's taking it in wireless, it's just coming across wired. Whereas trying to throw the 100 megabit signal wirelessly is kind of interesting. Here you go. Switch to the PC, go to side by side. Here you can see the PC on 2 gigahertz. You can see where I added the full NDI from the JVC camera or the BirdDog Flex. That's where I added it. So now that's coming into the Director Mini, and the Director Mini is able to decode full NDI without an issue. It's just that doing it over wireless, full NDI over wireless, not recommended. Over a wire, yes. Over wireless, not recommended. But like I said, if you are doing HX3 and HX2, your bit rates are much lower, and being wireless then is not as much of a issue as it could be if it were full NDI. Next question, using NDI with a single source audio mixer presents challenges for audio sync. Yes, it does. 2 wired NDI cameras, 2 wireless NDI cameras. The wired one have audio delay, wireless different audio delay. Yes, they all have different delay. But if you have an audio mixer, feed it into your wired NDI camera, because there's 2 things going on here. First, you have all these sources coming in. Even if they were all on HDMI, I'm guessing you're coming into a non-gen-locked video switcher. And without being gen-locked, without gen-locking the camera, then the switcher has to take each of those signals, rip it apart, rebuild it with an internal sync clock so that all the cameras are refreshing the frame at the same exact moment so that you can cut between them cleanly, so that you can dissolve between them cleanly. They have to be refreshing the frame at the same time, not all over the place. So you're losing a frame or 2 there. NDI is telling the camera, okay, take a moment, compress the image, then send it to me across the network. And then I'm going to decompress it. And then it goes through that sync situation. So that's another delay of a frame or 2. Wireless or wired should not be very different. I would say less than a frame, but there still may be differences depending upon the wireless router you've got, how it's processing the different data. And so, yeah, what I would do is I would send your audio into the wired camera so that it's delayed along with the NDI compression, sending, decompression, and then it goes through the switcher, ripping it apart, syncing it up with all the sources, and then the audio matches the video. That's usually the best protocol. Or if your mixer has the ability to delay the audio, which a lot of mixers do. The Ostream Go, the Ostream Duet has a delay on it. vMix has got a delay. The TriCaster's got a delay. Even if you go to the Ultra and go to my audio mixer, if I had a, you see over here, NDI1 delay, Not that I want to delay the NDI, but it has a built-in delay in here. So I can delay this. Wow, it's a lot. You know, and then how many milliseconds you have to think. If it's a 2-frame delay for the sync and a frame delay, so that's 30, 60, 90, it's about 100 milliseconds that I want to delay the audio coming in to match the video. If I was coming in via an analog source to match the delayed video. So you have to delay the audio to match the video, which is being delayed by all the different processes going on. NDI not yet. The router uses a barrel 1300 AC, which NTZ camera affordable has optical zoom. Which PTZ camera is affordable and has optical zoom? PTZ Optics makes several fairly affordable cameras, different zoom lengths, HD or 4K, different other features. The Bird Dog X1 is available for $999. You're not, that's sort of the base. If you know, $1,000 is the base you're going to pay for a professional grade PTZ camera. And then it goes up from there. Oh, did you want 4K? That'll be more. Did you want longer zoom range? That'll be more. You know, those things add to the cost. Did you want a 30x Canon, you know, and then add the PTZ, you're going to be spending $3,000. So when you think $3,000 or $5,000, $1,000 does not seem so bad. The router I use is a Barrel 1300 AC. Probably not good enough. I have a Barrel. Barrel's a good router. For those who don't know, I don't know if this is the 1300 AC. Could be. Yeah, I think this is it. So the Barrel is this little thing. This is a travel router. This is a convenience item. This is not a professional tool. This is something for consumers to take with them or business travelers to take with them so that when they go to a hotel, they can plug the hotel in here, they can VPN back to the United States or back to their home office, and they could make sure that their communications are secure. They can have a little bit of wireless so they can connect their phone to this, their laptop to this, and multiple devices to this and not have to worry about it. This is not a streaming device. This is not, you know, while it may do things, while it may be okay, NDI is like driving a Formula One race car. This is not a Formula One router. And I mean, nothing against GLINet. I own one. So I think they're good products. I actually have at least 2 of them, if not 3, for different purposes. They're good at what they do, but NDI is a whole order of magnitude bigger ask all around. Processing data, wireless reception, wireless transmission, everything. And so I don't think the Barrel is going to be reliably handling a lot of NDI. I'm just going to click on this one. Save your hassle with the YOLOBOX PTZ controller. Get a dedicated joystick. Thank you, Mark. Yes, as I says, there are third-party PTZ controls that work over NDI, or you can, you know, operate Visa or other ways as well. Are you using a physical keyboard with the OBSBot Talent from Nigeria? I am with the Talent, OBSBot Talent. No, I'm sorry. You saw this in the shot. This was actually for my PC for this over here. So this keyboard is so that I could type in the password to get into my router over there. I'm not using the physical. You could. It's a Bluetooth keyboard, and the OBSBot devices let you pair Bluetooth devices. So if you wanted to, you could do that. And in reality, with the Talent, or I'm sorry, with the Magewell Director Mini that I'm using to switch this show, I am using a wireless Bluetooth control surface. So there's that. Netgear AV line switches are tops for a local network. Then your choice of router based on your ISP speeds. Yes, exactly. This is what I talked about. Netgear has, you know, Netgear makes a lot of networking stuff. And for them to realize that they had to create a dedicated line and put special thought into making it handle NDI, demonstrates that in order for them to be successful, they couldn't just recommend, oh, you need at least this business level router. Oh, you just get, you know, any of these line. No, they came out with a special line that has software designed to understand NDI. And if you go into the menu, it'll understand both NDI and Dante, which is a whole other thing that I'm not going to get into. Can you control the traffic with VLANs? You can control the traffic, but it's still traffic. It's still passing through the router. It doesn't matter. That's like saying, can you put cones down the middle of the highway? Yes, but if you have 200 cars, they still all have to go down the highway. It doesn't matter if you put cones down the middle. You know, like if I wanted to, you know, one of the reasons I have separate 2.4 and 5 gigahertz networks is so that I could put different cameras on different wireless. That's sort of like the cones. And then you're using different parts of the chips to, okay, this part's receiving 5 gigahertz and putting it on the back plane. This one's receiving 2 gigahertz and putting it on the back plane. I'm not overwhelming one or the other of the transceivers. VLANs, absolutely. Keeping the VLANs add additional processing and overhead for the switch. So NDI does not use H.264. Some of it does. Full NDI does not. NDI HX1 does not. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it does not. NDI HX1, I think, uses something else, and I'm not going to bother to dig it up because, like I said, they're trying to move past it and just orphan that stuff out. HX2 is exclusively H.264. HX3 can use H.264 or H.265. So, of the 4 types of NDI, or 4 flavors of NDI, 2 of them do or can, 2 of them can't. That answers your question. So full wireless NDI HX H.265 pitch site for rugby games, tail air for commentators, Mevo start 50 meters away for scoreboard, so that's not doing H.265. PTZ Optics Move SE with AIDA IPCOM PoE for wireless NDI from that. So yeah, that is a really nice setup. And what I would love for you to chime in with is the glue that is connecting all these devices. What are you using as your router? And what are you using to switch with? So you've got a lot going on there, and that's some good stuff. And it sounds like you've put together just the right components in the right places for that particular task. You know, people ask, what's the best camera? Well, as you can see, tail air for commentators, Mevo start for the scoreboard, PTZ optics, you know, so using the right tool for the task. That's this right here. But I would love to find out, put in the comments what you're using for your networking and what you're using for your switching, because that is part of the complete picture. I guess vMix 33 comes, VM, I don't know what VM 33 comes with NDI also. Do we get 40 meters NDI Wi-Fi range? There's not Wi-Fi range or NDI Wi-Fi range. There's not NDI Wi-Fi and anything else Wi-Fi. NDI is a networking protocol. NDI uses standard Wi-Fi. It's not a particular flavor of Wi-Fi. So if your Wi-Fi can reliably transmit and be heard from 40 meters away, we're 120 feet, at full bandwidth, then yes. If it's too far and Wi-Fi naturally steps down the bandwidth to maintain communication, it will drop the speed. You know, so, you know, something maybe, oh, you could do you know, 100 megabits. Oh, you're going to do 50. You're going to do 25. You're going to do 11. Well, it'll do 11 reliably. It won't do 100. You know, Wi-Fi steps down depending upon distance and what you're using. There's all sorts of directional antennas, beam forming, the quality of the router, and things like that. And remember, these things, you know, if like what's at the other end too? Do you have a camera that has omnidirectional antennas that are embedded somewhere in the body that you have no idea where they are? You know, if I turn it this way, am I blocking the antennas? Are the antennas here or are they on the side? You know, so if the antenna's on the side, then it's aiming this way more than it's aiming this way. So there's a whole lot going on. It's not as simple as, oh, Wi-Fi works 40 meters. Nothing works as simple as that. DHCP reservations for your NDI gear is a must, in my opinion. Yes, well, it would be nice if they reconnected to the router that I had them set up with when I set up the show yesterday. They don't even do that. They reconnected to something else. Some people love to use manual IP addresses, which means if you have a switch, then you don't need DHCP and you don't even need a router. You could just connect your stuff up with a switch, a bunch of Ethernet cables. It all knows the number that it was talking to last time and they all re-find each other. Yay. The downside with that is you kind of have to know what you're doing in terms of IT. DHCP, I'm going to be upfront. I'm using DHCP for everything that I'm doing over here. It's all DHCP, both over Wi-Fi and LAN, wired. And they're finding each other, you know. And when you do a search on the YOLOBOX or the Talent or a Duet or a TriCaster or a vMix, I don't think it's going to be any faster because it's still going to pull every address. It knows where that camera was. I mean, if you set up a show and it knows camera was at, you know, 128, and then when you reboot the computer and come up, it's going to look for camera at 128. And if the camera has a manual IP address of 128, it's always going to show up at 128. So yes, they'll automatically look and find each other at the proper places. That's where that really comes into play. If you're taking down and rebuilding a setup and it's portable, manual DHCP or manual IP addresses really do come into play there, enabling you to build a show and have all the devices just repopulate in the show with ease. So, but for people who are setting up a church once, they find the stuff, here it is, okay, it might not be that much of an issue. Yola needs to borrow the PTZ controls from the Talent Director Mini. Well, maybe not borrow, but they do need to find the IP address and fill that blank in themselves. That's for sure. Our church is considering upgrading our network system to Ubiquiti Unify equipment throughout. I must know, and if you can advise that the Unify Cloud Gateway routers are good for NDI or not, please. I don't have any Ubiquiti gear because it is expensive. And I do know some people that recommend against Ubiquiti, and I know other people that use Ubiquiti gear and the wireless flying saucers and things like that. Can I advise? I cannot. I cannot confirm nor deny that Ubiquiti will work and what special sauce you need to run. I would speak to a networking professional who is installing your Ubiquiti Unify equipment throughout, since it seems to be already preordained, that this is something that you need them to make sure works. Because if they are a professional, they should A, know about it, B, know how to make it work. And Mark has replied to this person, keep all the equipment with Ubiquiti for full manageability via local cloud or controller. So there's a lot of people who, like I said, you know, Mark apparently has had good results with Ubiquiti equipment. And then I've had other people who say, just go with the Netgear. Although Netgear doesn't make NDI specific wireless access points. So there's that. And then Jono, Jono, formerly of Bird Dog, now working around the world, M4250. Thank you. I knew there was a 50 in there somewhere. So thank you for chiming in with that. I appreciate it. If somebody's going to know, John would know. Thank you, Mark. Unified Dream. Is there a second audio feedback sound coming from a camera? There shouldn't be. Oh. My apologies. I added the NDI camera to the Director Mini, and yes, audio was coming through. When I added that camera, it added the audio. My apologies. Isn't it better to put NDI on a network switch and work with VLANs? We've kind of covered that a little bit. VLANs don't increase how much bandwidth a switch can handle. So if a switch backplane can only handle a gigabit or 2 gigabits or whatever the backplane, the amount of data that can pass between the different ports, it doesn't increase that in a switch. What a VLAN does is it makes it so those things that are doing, somebody doing printing in the office doesn't mess up your stream, your two devices trying to talk NDI, because they're on two different virtual LANs. But remember, it's still virtual. The hardware hasn't all of a sudden doubled in capacity, but it also means that what it also does help with is with the virtual LANs that all your NDI stuff is only going to see the NDI stuff. It's not going to find the other stuff. All your other things in the office or whatever are only going to, your printers, your computers, your laptops, your phones, they're all going to see each other, and you're not going to like fill up all the IP addresses like a church. 200 people come in and they all want Wi-Fi and they're all filling up that one VLAN. Your NDI is still separate on a separate VLAN, and they're not able to see your devices. Ooh, and maybe try to log in because they can't see them. So there's the VLANs help in certain respects, but they don't double the capacity of your hardware just by creating a VLAN. The amount of data it can pass is still the amount of data it can pass. UniFi has announced their NDI profile in order to compete with that. Thank goodness. Absolutely. My concern is that I know of 3 UniFi G2 switches that burned up while trying to run NDI. Hope their latest stuff is better. Yes, it's a challenge because the stream is relentless. It is a torrent of data. And once you start that thing going, did my camera? No, my camera didn't die. Once you start that thing going, it just keeps going and keeps going, and you start adding additional cameras. Oh, and you know what? I want to see that camera on my iPad. Oh, and you know what? Let's put it over there too. And you start, hey, can we send the program feed to 5 screens out in the lobby over NDI? Sure we can. And you just keep adding more because it's so convenient, and the network demand keeps increasing, and eventually you're slamming against the top of your network capability. Be thankful it's NDI and you're not doing the SMPTE 2110, because that starts here and then goes up, and it goes up very fast. I'm contemplating getting the YOLOBOX Ultra or the OBSBot Talent. I'm planning to purchase OBSBot Tail Airs. Anything? Any tips? The OBSBot makes the Talent. OBSBot makes the Tail Airs. OBSBot is building in, as I showed earlier, you can scroll back in the timeline, capability, because they're making both parts. So they're going to be customizing the software in the Talent to be able to talk to the Tail Air and, like I showed, turn on face tracking. Even the PTZ dialogue on the Talent looks different for the Tail Air than it does for any other NDI device, because it is different. So my tip would be go to the links in my YouTube channel and purchase them that way, so I get affiliate money. The Talent, because it's made by the same company, would be, I feel, the best choice moving forward. I just feel they're going to become closer and closer, more integrated together. Just like Mark said. But I want to use it for non-streaming setups too. Doesn't matter. NDI is your local area network. while there are protocols that allow NDI to extend between locations, NDI Bridge, Bird Dog Cloud, KiloView has something as well. There are options to bridge between two separate locations, two cities, two other places in the cloud, multiple places. By and large, it's your local area network, your LAN, whether it be wireless or wired. Like I have here, I have the router right over there, and apparently my big demand turned off. And I have my route. Am I doing the right one? Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I have, let's see, that's traffic analyzers. Go to my dashboard. I have this big router over there, and I can plop it down on the table, and just like I did today, it's sitting right over here. I can't grab it, but it's sitting on the table. And you can bring this up, make it bigger, go to Ultra. So this is the Ultra. And if I turn this around, you will see right there is the router, and the autofocus is not working again. But yeah, it's literally right there. So that way I was able to not have to use really long cables to connect to the Ultra, to the Talent, and to the Flex. Boom, boom. I plan on using my Canon cameras as well for 3-camera setup. Like I said, you can use converters like this Flex. Let me bring this in here a little bit. You can use converters like Flex, and there are numerous other converters. StreamTEK makes this. This is the Spark. This is the StreamTEK Spark. And Vizert purchased StreamTEK, and they relabeled this the Connect. So if you go to the Vizert website and looking for the hardware, this is the Vizert Connect. And when you get to the page that shows these things, these will all still say Spark. So I don't know why Vizert felt the need to rename a product for no apparent reason, but they did. And it's still called the Spark, but they call it the Connect. It's the same in their support area as well. I also want to record ISO 4K. Would the Talent still be a good option? I heard YOLOBOX has NDI integrated, so that works with the OBSBot tails. The NDI does not have to be activated, as far as I know, on the Talent, and does have to be activated. It's an extra $100 on the Ultra. I think. I'm just being honest, I think. Somebody can double check me and post a correction if I'm wrong. I believe you can record 4K on the Talent, although I do know that when you go in there and turn certain things on, it excludes other things. Like if you turn on NDI, you can't also have HDMI out. So I don't know if turning on NDI means you can't record 4K, because my NDI feed from the tail air is HD, not 4K. So I also want HDMI out to a touchscreen monitor. Both the Talent, the Director Mini, and the Ultra, both of all three have that. So that's not a deciding factor for any of them. And as always, I'm just going to say, I do these shows. I'm not getting, there's no company is paying me to produce these shows, do these dialogues. So if you could like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and scroll down to the description and use any of the affiliate links to purchase your gear. That way it helps to generate some income for somebody who's doing these shows for you. From South Africa here, you're going to get a chance to test the SproLink MD2. I've been contacting them since NAB to try and get one of their things and have not been able to get it. The OBSBot Talent seems to be limited in terms of inputs and outputs. If you go to my YouTube channel, what does the YouTube channel look like? It kind of looks like, well, if you're probably on it, you're on the YouTube channel. The OBSBot Talent seems to be limited in terms of inputs and outputs. I've got 10 into the Director Mini. But the Director Mini allows you to do iPhone cameras using the Director utility app on the phones. The OBSBot Talent doesn't have that capability, so it's 10.987. So you can do 7 inputs into the Talent. I'm just doing the math. So 7 inputs into the Talent. And remember, the Talent is tiny. The Talent is this little device right here. It fits in your hand. And you're going to put 7 inputs into this tiny Android tablet. Is it limited compared to the Ultra, maybe? Because I did 15 into the Ultra. But do you need 15? The Ultra crashed when I did 15. Do you need it to be reliable? Do you need that many? Maybe you should step up to a gaming laptop and do NDI and not be concerned about any limitations in terms of inputs other than bandwidth on your router. I wanted to buy the Rodecaster Video, but I heard they don't use NDI. I have not heard any NDI on the Rodecaster as well. I have reached out to them. I reached out to both of the press contacts for Rode that I have. I would love to get my hands on the Rodecaster. I think it looks like a really awesome thing, especially with the top row being all about scenes. I love scenes. I use scenes a lot here. So when I, go to this, that's a scene. When I go to this, that's a scene. When I go to this, that's a scene. When I go to this, I love scenes. Scenes are what make shows today. And so Rode's understanding of that and really going all in on scenes and giving you the control surface buttons is awesome. I haven't been able to get my hands on one. And the same with the Mevo Core. I would love to get my hands on a Mevo Core, but they say there's not enough press units available, although it's been out a long time. And they advise I go buy one, and I cannot go buy every piece of gear that comes out just to do a review and do a show on it, unless I get a lot more people to buy through the affiliate links at the bottom of the description. Music for simple podcast setup. Yeah, so there's a discussion going on. Outdoors access point to barrel. The barrel is providing the conversion to your local area network, but I still wouldn't use the barrel as a Wi-Fi networking device. Another question goes in. Does OBSBot allow using external monitor for touchscreen usage? I think yes. I know the Director Mini does, and the OBSBot Talent is based on the same hardware with very close firmware. They've only just started to diverge because they both have come out about now. And they're, the Director Mini has a 3.0 update that adds certain features to that end, like the full NDI capability. The OBSBot Talent has added certain features tying into their cameras, but by and large, they're still very much the same at this point. And I believe that you can use a touchscreen with the OBSBot Talent because you already could do it with the Director Mini before the 3.0 update came out. I love the interface on the OBSBot Talent. OBSBot Talent and the Director Mini are pretty much the same interface. There's just some underlying tweaks. Seems very refined, but the I/O is so limited. If your show demands 15 inputs, then by all means you go with the Ultra. But remember, those 15 inputs are also bringing in remote guests over the cellular network or over the internet. So it's not 15 separate inputs. You've got 4 HDMIs and 2 USBs, and then NDI, and then 3 NDIs. Whereas on the Talent or the Director Mini, you've got 2 HDMIs, 2 USBs. So you still got the 4. You don't have the 2 additional USBs, and the 3 NDIs is the same whether it's OBSBot or Director Mini. They're both limited to 3. And some have said that using the USB inputs on the YOLOBOX could possibly affect frame rate have some frame doubling. I know YOLO's working on that, and other people don't see it. You know, if they're using a 30 frame per second, they don't, you know, it's not an issue for them. So that is up to you to try and determine for your needs. Just tune in. What did I miss? Hi, I'm Anthony. This is the StreamTEK channel. Is OBSBot a good camera for overhead video? I would think so. Plus the fact that you can get some decent zoom. Like I have my overhead camera, and if I want to zoom it, I can't. I have to physically reach up and touch it. The downside for the OBSBot, that maybe a different OBSBot would be a better solution, is that because it has the battery in it, it's heavy. And the reason I have this teeny little cube camera over my head is because it's small and light. And if I do this again and bring up the Ultra, so you can see I've got this tiny Ada box camera on an arm over top looking down, and it's got a little C-mount lens, and that's what I use for my overhead camera looking down, which is this one. But because, you know, I have a fixed spot, I don't really, you know, I can manually zoom before the show. I don't try to do anything dynamic. But if you wanted to, like you had a cooking show or something like that, the Talent, I think, or the Tail Air would be a pretty cool overhead, because then you can move it between which burner or which pot or the cutting area. You could zoom in a little bit, and you could have presets. Go over here, go over there, go over here, go over there, go over here, go over there. Boom, 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 super easy. You could even kind of lock it off. The one thing you would want to know is that it stops pointing straight up. That's where it stops. So you know, you'd have to kind of either set it off to one side so that everything was, you know, over there-ish. Off to one side. Mevo versus OBSBot Tail Air for podcast recording. Does the Mevo have NDI? Yes, it does. It's part of my NDI show. And on the Mevo Starts, you don't have to pay extra. It comes, you just turn it on in software. It says it needs to report usage to the NDI group. So apparently they may be paying on the back end as opposed to like forcing you to pay an extra $50 up front. A lot of discussion going on between the people on YouTube. So this will be really cool. After the show is done, you can go read the discussion going on after the fact. What is the difference between the Director Monitor and OBSBot Talent? The Director Mini from Magewell is the original device, well over a year old now. The OBSBot Talent worked with Magewell to use the hardware and the core OS. They adopted, you know, basically it's like Chevrolet and GMC. It's like the, what do you call it? It's the Mazda Miata and the Fiat Spider. It's the same core elements, and it's not a secret. Nobody's trying to sneak one by you. Wait, that looks like the Director Mini. No, it's supposed to, because on the back of the Talent, it says made by Magewell. On the box of the Talent, it says made by Magewell. So it's not a secret. But what OBSBot has said they're going to do is they're going to take the operating system on the Talent and make it more geared to the rest of their ecosystem, because OBSBot already has all these cameras and different solutions. So taking a good piece of hardware and saying, hey, can we buy a whole bunch of Magewell Director Minis and customize the operating system and the capabilities for our cameras and build a bigger ecosystem? And it's a great idea. You know, make the switcher as well as the cameras. Who wouldn't want to? And, you know, YOLO has talked about, you know, their Alpha Cam and other cameras. You know, I was at NAB and we showed their Alpha Cam at NAB. So, and IBC last year. And so they've been talking cameras for a while. So it just makes perfect sense. Go away. LA12 says barrel is honestly rock solid for NDI HX265. there's a couple caveats there. We don't know how many, we don't know how far, we don't know wired or wireless, and 265 is the lowest bandwidth or the most efficient codec. So since the barrel doesn't actually have to decode it, this is the best way to do it with H.265 because you're making the smallest streams. But if somebody can't do H.265, like they got one of these, it's H.264, and they want to do 4 of them, so they're doing 4 times 15 to this, between 30, 60 megabits, solid streams back and forth, and then depending upon how many destinations they're going, I would never say something is honestly rock solid, and then have somebody go and do a completely different setup than you, with completely different needs on the barrel, and have it not work. Because no two people are using the hardware the same exact way. What hardware device or software brand to look at how much bandwidth or traffic is actively being used in a given network? Is there software that may record history for later viewing analysis? Well, you could do a screen capture of, like I've got my, thing going on over here, and I'm sure Netgear has their own bandwidth analysis too. But when I move my cursor over here, there's the traffic analyzer, and I could scroll down and bandwidth monitor, not that one, traffic monitor, there we go. And then down here, it's going to tell me what I'm doing wired. But here you can see I've got different screens for wired and wireless. It's not showing me what's going on all the different things. So is there something? Maybe. In the internet connection, I've got nothing going on the WAN, so the WAN's going to be dead because I'm not streaming out through my ROG wireless. But you go to the wires. There's the 2 gigahertz wireless. There's the 5 gigahertz wireless, and here's a wired going along at 25 megabytes per second, not megabits. So you'd have to do some math to constantly go back. Maybe there's a custom widget you can add to routers that would give you a consistent, heads up interface for all of it and then record that data over time. But I don't know if there is one that provides that right out of the box. Can you add an NDI camera into the Mevo app? Mevo makes multiple apps. The Mevo camera app is designed to talk to one camera. The Mevo multicam app does have the availability for you to add NDI cameras if you pay for the subscription. If you don't pay for the subscription and just use the Mevo multicam app free version, you don't get NDI. You have to pay to get NDI working from the start to the Magewell, for example. I don't think you do. I think NDI comes enabled on the Magewell. I don't think you have to add it, but if I'm incorrect, someone please go to Magewell and double check that for me. And Mark jumps in there. Hey, Mark, you need to be standing here doing the show with me. You can add NDI with the Mevo Pro, which is a paid subscription. Thank you. LA2 live streams, wireless 50 meters max, 3 cameras. So that's actually pretty impressive, especially for the barrel, which doesn't have big antennas. So having this little box and saying that we're going to get 50 meters from 2 tiny little wires here and here, because that's all this plastic is there's a piece of metal inside, So this is your antenna, and that's going to reach 50 meters. Certified is 15. That's 150 feet. That's really impressive. Especially when you compare it with wireless video transmitters, which use, multiple antennas to transmit one camera, let alone try and do multiple cameras over Wi-Fi. And that's all I got. That's all I got. Look like a little bunny. Mugshot Streaming jumps in. Cheers, buddy. You can go from Mevo to Magewell NDI wise, but I can't push the Magewell, which has NDI, to the Mevo app. That's what I would like. Oh, interesting. Which has NDI to the Mevo app. Well, it may be the versions of NDI that the Mevo Pro in the Mevo Multicam app accepts may not be compliant with the specific NDI that the Director Mini is outputting, which may be full NDI. I actually don't know. That's something we can ask in the Magewell group. What flavor, 4 flavors, what flavor of NDI is the output of the Director Mini and by extension the OBSBot Talent? I know when I do it on vMix, software and code, full NDI. When I do it on the TriCaster, software and code, full NDI. So I suspect it may be full NDI, and that may not be supported, just like it's not supported on the Talent right now. It may not be supported by the software on the iPad. Theodore Strom says, you convinced me to buy the OBSBot Talent for my new podcast setup. What do you recommend for a mixer? The OBSBot Talent is a really good mixer. I was planning to buy the Rodecaster Duo. You could do that and run your audio separately. The Rodecaster, the Rodes are just good products. I like them. I don't have one, and I haven't been able to get them to send me one to really dive into it. But by all my experience with them on other client work, they're really nice. So I don't have a link to the Rodecaster in my description in the YouTube thing, but get everything else there. That'd be great. NDI versus HDMI transmitter receiver. Great question. Great question. And what this really comes down to is what your goal is. Whereas we were just talking about NDI from the camera, we don't know where the antennas are. We got little antennas here. We don't really know what the range is. And we also don't know what else is going on. So this might not be as reliable as we want it to be. Whereas if you go with an HDMI transmitter and receiver, they're going to have these dedicated antennas, and they are going to take up a swath of bandwidth and have redundancy, because some of them now, they transmit on 2 different frequencies at the same time, enabling so that if one of the frequencies gets blocked, the signal is still getting through. So you're going to be more reliable at a greater distance, at a higher quality and a higher bandwidth with the HDMI transmitter and receiver. They will only be sender to receiver. One sender, one receiver. Whereas NDI is one sender to anybody who wants it. And with one access point, I can have 3 cameras being received by 3 switchers. Do you know how many transmitters and receivers that would take? So NDI gives you the flexibility to use things in multiple ways. The HDMI transmitter and receiver, I feel, gives you the reliability between A and B. It's like running a wire, which is both an advantage and a disadvantage. Can you use an iPad as an external touchscreen monitor with the OBSBot Talent? No. I'm wrong. OBSBot Talent, no. YOLOBOX, no. They don't make an app. OBSBot Talent does not have an app. The Director Mini, yes. If you go and watch my Director Mini videos on this channel, the Director Mini has an app so that you have full control over the Director Mini over the local area network from an iPhone, an iPad. Actually, it's an iPhone app, but I'm told that they're actually working on creating an iPad native app, so to make more use of the screen real estate. Switch cameras, you could adjust presets, you could do all kinds of stuff over your well, that was kind of interesting. It's just, oh, the camera's up. That's weird. You could do all sorts of things. So the Director Mini, yes. The other two, no. Well, the YOLOBOX has a web interface, and the OBSBot Talent has a web interface into all of them, but it's not so much as an external touchscreen monitor for the program. You know, you're able to control them remotely, but it's not an external touch. It's not the same thing. It's not the same interface. It's not the same. It doesn't work the same way. I would say look at the YOLOBOX video that I've done that shows you the web interface. Look at the Director Mini that shows you the app. And I also have a show on the OBSBot Talent as well. So watch some videos on this channel. The Magewell, YOLO, TeraDeck, and Mevo. You got some good stuff there. NDI, NDIF wired HDMI transmitter with wireless, only line of sight between transmitter and receiver. Maybe I should get the Director Mini after your iPad comment, but I assume the OBSBot tails still work better with the Talent. Yes, the OBSBot tails still work better with the Talent, and you can control the Talent via the web interface. So you're using the Safari browser on the iPad to access the OBSBot Talent, which, watch the video, you can see what it looks like. I show you the interface on the OBSBot, and then maybe that'll work for you, you know. And because it's a web browser, if you just want to see the program monitor, you can make it bigger on the iPad because you're looking at a web page, and you can dynamically resize a web page as opposed to being in an app. And this is what the app looks like. Beware the Mevo limited. Okay, so this discussion is going on the YouTube channel. So the one thing I didn't cover yet, and we're almost at 2 hours. This is a long show. The one thing I didn't cover yet is Mevo, the cameras themselves. Cameras come with NDI, but there's also, let me go to this one. No, that's wrong. There it is. Oh, I see. Just move this out of the way. There you go. Now you don't see it. So this is phone, and I have on here the StreamTEK makes an NDI camera. Look at that. It's an NDI camera. So this is my phone. And if I call up the little gear icon, I can choose between high quality and lower quality, basically what data rate, but StreamTEK didn't feel like, you know, elaborating on that. And I can take this and assuming, let me just bring this down, make sure it's on the, go away, go away, go away. Yes, I'm on the right network. So let's go back in, there we go. So we're going to add a video source, NDI, we're on here. It's going to search, and one of the things it should find is my iPhone. Done. And is going to load this, and well, I've got a blue border on here. I want to see if it's going to load NDI 3. Doesn't seem like it wants to. At the same time, I'm going to try to do it on the Talent. And so it's not loading on the Pro or the Ultra, and it's not loading on the Talent. You see where down at the bottom there where it says, let's go to here, you see where it says right there on the end, it says iPhone, it's not loading. So this is the NDI app made by StreamTEK. Now it's an older app, and again, they have been orphaning certain technology. So let me throw that one away. And I downloaded any camera. You see that little icon right over there? Any camera. And I go into here and NDI HX camera, turn it on. And just like, oh, you know what I forgot to do? Before I misspeak, I always forget this. Hit the record button. Let's go to high. So here you go on the Ultra. Again, the Ultra is able to get it once I remember to hit the record button and not record. I don't know why they chose to use a record button interface on the, see that little red button? If I turn the red button off, now I'm transmitting, now I'm not transmitting. It's a transmit button, but it's made to look like a record button. I don't know why. So the Ultra down there at the bottom is able to get my phone just fine. And this is the NDI HX, but again, you look at, or this might be full NDI again, because here we go on the talent. The talent is not able to see my iPhone. Whereas if I go to the phone, close this, and of course you can't, drives me nuts, the fact that there's no buttons, it makes it so hard. NDI HX camera, okay, here's my HX camera, rotate it. Okay, I'm going to close this from the Ultra. I'm going to close this from the, actually I had to click away. I'm going to delete this from the talent. And now I'm going to hit start streaming. You see, that looks a little bit more intuitive. It's not a record button. I'm going to add on the Ultra iPhone, and it says any camera. So it knows that app, and you can customize that in the app too. And then over here on my talent, I'm going to add NDI stream, NDI search, any camera. There it is, save. I can call it up. And now, actually I'll show you with this. Call it up here. I've got the same camera going to both sources. Let me tap that out of the way. And that's the magic of, again, NDI, it's on the network. So both of these are able to receive it at the same time. I could technically throw it over there if I wanted to too. That's the Director Mini that is doing the show. I could do it in all three places. I could have somebody on an iPad watching it like a director monitor. And that is using this on the app here. I'm using this app, and of course there's gear icons. So in here on the any camera, what camera do I want to use? Well, it says rear camera. I've got multiple rear cameras, but it doesn't seem to like let me choose which rear camera. What camera resolution, how many frames a second, what my bit rate is, whether I'm using H.264 or H.265, which we already talked about. H.265 is more efficient. Lower data rate requirements makes it easier to use on lower end routers. And down here at the bottom, you could say, you know, my audio is on or off. I can flip the camera. And this is just an example of, here, look, I've got cameras. And with that, I'm able to, you know, utilize old phones as pretty decent good cameras. Now they don't have optical zooms, but you know, if they do change the app so that I can change to the 3x or 5x zoom lens, that could be really useful. And then you can have a wide and a close as two phones from 3 years ago, 5 years ago. They're still going to be good. They're still going to deliver a good image. And you're able to use those over NDI with an app. Now, the Anycam app, as a paid app, it'll let me demo this for 10 minutes, but then it wants you to buy the app. So for the purposes of demoing this, I haven't bought the app. They didn't pay me to demo it. It is just an app that I found when I searched NDI in the App Store. But it's just showing you that your options for cameras is really wide, from professional cameras activating NDI, from cameras, the mid-level range that maybe come with NDI built in, from, you know, very unique little cameras that may not have an optical zoom, but still offer a lot of functionality and a battery, to point and shoot little cameras, phones, your ability to leverage a lot of different kinds of cameras. Do they all have HDMI? I don't know. Do they all have SDI? No. But they all are on the network. And that's what NDI gives you, is the ability to do networked cameras. The NDI puts your video on a network, and that's where it really delivers the flexibility of allowing you, as the one reader pointed out, using different solutions in different places, you know, the right tool for that particular job. But the thing in common was putting them all on NDI, and they're all coming into the switcher, and that makes it easy in terms of building out a show using NDI cameras. Question comes in. How many iPhones or iPads can be used with the Director Mini with the app? The Director Mini uses, the app will let you bring in 3 cameras, and NDI will let you bring in 3 cameras, all phones. So like I was just showing you with the phone. So technically 6 phones or iPads. Although it doesn't have to be iPhones. The app for Magewell is Android and iOS. So hit up a bunch of buddies and get their old Android phones. So 6. And again, the talent doesn't have it doesn't let you use the app for bespoke camera connections. And that means you're limited to 3 NDI devices. Now, hey, maybe since OBSBot already has a multicam app, and you don't have to activate NDI on your cameras to use the multicam app. They have a camera protocol for multicam. Maybe they could leverage that in a future version of the operating system, and then you'd have 3 NDI and 3 OBSBot codec solution thing, and they're giving you 6. Has anyone been able to send individual Mevo starts as NDI cameras rather than the group to, say, a Magewell? Yeah. Okay, this is running, and I'm going to delete the phone. Let's go over here to the talent. I'm going to add an NDI stream. Mevo start. There it is. Save. Mevo start. Now this is glitchy. You see, this is glitchy, and this, in my tests, I think one of my cameras is more glitchy than the other, because I have in the Mevo start video that's on my channel, I did this, and one camera was super smooth and one camera was not as smooth. So maybe this needs a firmware update or something. But yes, these come in, these are HX2, and HX2 is fully understood by an individual camera on the Director Mini and the Talent. Now this one seems to have a hesitation issue. I could go in and try and debug it right now, but the question was, can you use them as, can you connect them? I've been able to send. Yes, I have been able to send. Where's that one? It's here. Can you add a second Mevo start? I am not set up for that. And I only have the ability to do 3 devices. And on my Talent, I already have 3 devices, including the bird dog that's across the way. Don't judge the preview. The preview is always a bit slower. So here's the preview. And then you see the Talent right there is really slow. And if I touch Talent, now Talent looks really good. I'm sorry, the tail air, which is, there it goes. Now it's focused, it's not focused. It's focused, it's not focused. It doesn't know. I don't know what it's doing. You know what? Let's go in here and we'll turn the autofocus off. Maybe it'll just stop hunting. That would be nice. Go away. But I don't have a second one out and available to do that. I need to see if you can control them individually as scenes in that Magewell. I only get the group, so I cannot have each in their own scene. Yes, you can. As far as I know, I'd be happy to consult with you on that and walk through it directly. But you could reach out to me directly. So I hope this show, which is all about the NDI camera, has proven useful to you. If it has proven useful to you, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you all being here. And, you know, I have the StreamTEK channel. Help me grow it. Share a video. If you want to purchase some of these things, I have links down in the description. I would really appreciate it if you use the link to purchase something, because then I can make 50 cents. And over here on the Facebook group, we have the StreamTEK group, go away, where you can sign up to get updates when new things come out. And then for multi-camera live switching, I also have the AirMix group, unofficial, because Teradek has orphaned the software, so we're all just helping each other, and it's free, and it's also really powerful, and it does not do NDI. I write for Streaming Media Magazine, so you can find columns. You can sign up for newsletters and bulletins and emails there to, you know, get the latest in terms of industry and streaming media. And if you want to reach out to me for consulting and or building or anything like that, you can use the contact form on the Stream for Us website, which is stream4.us. And as always, if you like this, I also have a Patreon. Patreon. I always don't know how to say it. You have a Patreon channel that you can jump in there and do that as well. And somebody else told me that I should do a membership on YouTube as well, which I will have to look into, because I didn't know that was a thing. So I appreciate you all being here and watching the show, and I will look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks for watching.